Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson.
Well, hey, everybody, I'm Jeanne Robertson, and for the first time, I think we're having a pop-up invitation at night. Y'all will remember that I said Jane Tucker from New York City would be here Saturday to go through my wardrobe again for me, but for y'all, I was going to sit out here in black, and she was going to put different little items that Norma and she and I had bought at flea markets, just to show you can get good stuff at flea markets. But we had a COVID scare in this little vicinity here this week. Actually, I was the one that was scared, and I had to wait and do different things and take tests. And it's very scary, I'll be honest with you. But today we have been given the all clear, and my heart goes out to every person who is dealing with this. So Jane can't now come on Saturday. So we've invited Big Al Walker from Chapin, South Carolina. Some of you are going to start figuring out who Al is as I tell this story. A few years ago, I got a telephone call from Al Walker, and he said to me, Jeanne, I'm putting together a white water rafting trip down, I can't even talk, white water rafting trip down the Colorado River for 8 days in a couple of years. Well, I would love for you and Left Brain to go. I did not breathe twice. I said, Al, you put the Robertsons down, we're going. And I went to tell Left Brain that we were going on this great whitewater rafting trip. And the minutes whitewater rafting, those words, came out of my mouth, Left Brain stood up from his desk and said, no more whitewater rafting. What you got over there? Something on the phone? No more whitewater rafting. None. Remember the Nantahala. He put his fist up in the air like that. Remember the Nantahala. He repeated it. It was almost like, remember the Alamo. What Left Brain wanted to do was use an experience that had happened, say, 25 or 30 years earlier, where we went on a tiny little bitty whitewater rafting trip on the Nantahala in North Carolina, and use what happened to us that day to keep us from going on this 8-day rafting trip down the Colorado River, which I wanted to do. So I put my thinking cap on. Let me make sure you know what happened. Some friends from Burlington, North Carolina were going up to Western North Carolina. It is beautiful. The food is good and leaves, everything, gorgeous place. And part of the weekend was going to be this 8-hour trip down the Nantahala, even less than that probably. Left Brain said, I'm not going. I know the food is good and the views are beautiful, but what I think I'll just drop out when you do that, because I don't want to do that. I said, honey, you will be the only person. Here you are, supposedly an athlete. You're going to be the only person that's not going on the whitewater rafting trip. Well, because of that, he eventually said, okay, when we get there, I'll figure it out. When we got there, up to the Nantahala, and the Nantahala is one of those whitewater rafting places that has big numbers, class on up there, 4, something like that, 5. We went by to see the biggest drop on the whole trip. And Left Brain took one look at it, and he said to me, I'm not doing this. You can go by yourself with everybody else tomorrow, but I'm not doing this. But because he loves me so much, he eventually said, all right, I don't like it. We'll go there. We were in the last canoe going down the Nantahala. We had the great leader of that trip. It was not Al Walker. It was a guy named Dr. Gene Long. He had been in the Boy Scouts, and he knew all about it. And in our last canoe, he was on the front, and he was paddling. There were 4 of us in the middle, and then in the back, Left Brain was sitting on the back of the canoe, and he was paddling too. We had never been on something like this, but I guess the terrain was typical. The water was swirling, swirling, swirling lots of noise. You had to shout to the other people in the canoe if you wanted to go. Over on this side, there was a high embankment with trees and rocks and things like that. But on the left side, you had an equally high embankment. But when you got to the top, there was a 2-lane road going straight down right through the mountains right there in beautiful North Carolina. We were paddling and paddling and paddling and paddling. Left braid in the back, Dr. Long in the front. All of a sudden, one of the women in our group in the middle where I was said in her Southern accent, y'all, when you get a chance, look up at the road. There's a wild man running down the road with a paddle over his head. Well, there was no when you get a chance to it. Everybody on the canoe looked up, and it hit us at the same time. It was Left Brain. We turned and looked. He was gone. Left Brain had been bumped out of the canoe, he said, miles back. And he made it to the side near the road, and he climbed up by roots, holding on to things, and had been running down the highway, waving trying to get our attention. When we saw who it was, we stopped and said, over there, Left Brain, over there. We're going to be down there. Come down and get back in the boat. We've got to catch up with everybody. And we paddled as fast as the little beavers and got over there. Left Brain is still standing at the top looking down at us. We said, come on, honey. We got to hurry. Come on, come on. He looked down and screamed at the top of his lungs, can everyone hear me? We said, yes, we can hear you, but we got to go. Come on. And then he said, you can all hear me? We said, we just said we could. He said, then hear this. I am not getting back in that canoe. And with that, he flagged down a car on the 2-way road. And last we saw of Left Brain, he was in the back seat with his arm out the side with the paddle going, we did not know where. Well, because that happened, of course, when I said to Left Brain, we want to go on this 8-day rafting trip that Al Walker had asked us on, that's why he said, no more whitewater rafting. Remember the Nantahala. So tomorrow, because we got off to a little late start this week with me not knowing what the situation was going to be here, tomorrow I'm going to play several clips from the whitewater rafting trip. And we're going to have great leader on our group, Al Walker from Chapin, South Carolina, a humorist buddy of mine, going to call in over here. And well, I don't guess you call in. What is it, Patrick? They Zoom in, just like Al McCree did last week. We'll ask him a few questions because that whole trip was his idea. And you're going to love this funny man. So we didn't get a lot of questions this week because I didn't post anything about it. If you want to send some questions, it's a real good week to get your question into the smiley face bucket. And of course, any question that's ever been sent in is eligible for prizes. Prizes meaning my new book, my DVDs. And Patrick, will you let us give away several of your CDs?
I got plenty.
You got, how many you got stacked up in the closet now? 800, 900. So we're going to have a good time. And if you want to send the questions, I'll be in there tomorrow cutting them up and putting them in the box. And we'll give away prizes and I'll tell stories. And we'll talk about the whole 8-day whitewater rafting trip. And that's about it. This is Thursday night. We have one of my Facebook. Are you a fan?
I think so.
I think. Fan from Branson, Missouri here, Sherry Harris. Sherry Harris is here because her goddaughter is entering Elon tomorrow. So they were going to stay with me. And you see, go Elon. It doesn't work when you have the COVID disease to have people in your house. And then we couldn't get a hotel room here because the golf tournament. It's been an interesting week. I can't wait to tell you more about it, and we're going to have a good time. Y'all keep laughing. Send some questions in if you've got some questions. It's a good week for that. And if you got any suggestions as to what we ought to be doing on Facebook Live from the back porch, we love to hear them. Thank y'all. Keep laughing.
She's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson.